fellow snowflakes. So, recently Contrapoints made a very impressive video about gender dysphoria, called Gender Dysphoria the Movie. It's linked down below. With her characteristic artistic and entertaining approach, she articulated really well actually how it feels to be transgender and to suffer from gender dysphoria. And a lot of that video included things that I relate to a lot, and it resonated really powerfully with me. It also helped me to see how important it is to talk about these issues from a personal perspective and communicate with people the simple facts of what it is like to experience gender dysphoria. This led to some other thoughts and reflecting on my own experiences, which I will share with you now. The body hair stuff fits really well with how I feel. I know that women also have hairy legs if they don't wax or shave, but even in that case, male leg hair is a lot thicker and coarser than female leg hair, I believe. And all this hair on my belly and around my nipples is not something that women have, and I feel that it shouldn't be there. It used to not be there. When I was younger, in my early 20s, I think I started getting the first downy hair in a narrow strip down my belly. I remember saying then that I was always grateful that I didn't have a hairy chest, because if I did then I'd probably want to kill myself. I actually said those exact words to my girlfriend of the time. That's how far this thing goes back. As I've grown, the hair on my belly has thickened and spread, and I hate it. So too, thick hairs around my nipples have appeared, which I also do not like. The body shape stuff in Contrapoints video was also something I related to. Is there a way to smash my ribs in? I didn't notice too much when I was younger. I think having a thinner body, even on a male, does allow for some subtle curviness. The ribs curve in and the bottom protrudes out. It can allow you to make believe that you have a slightly feminine or androgynous body. But as I've grown older and put on weight, there is simply no escaping the fact that I hate my body shape and wish I had not a slim male shape, but a slim female shape instead. I look not only with desire, but also with envy at the beautiful bodies of women. And my chest dysphoria? I've always felt self-conscious about going topless. I thought when I was young that it was my skinny, weedy form that was the problem, but I never wanted to be muscular and buff either. That would be one of those I'd probably want to kill myself things, like the hairy chest. When I put on weight, that feeling of self-consciousness did not go away. Now I discover that when I put on a bra under my clothes and it creates the appearance of female breasts, that I like the way I look and feel completely comfortable with it, at least visually. Bras are not always physically comfortable. And that when I return to not wearing a bra, I simply do not like the way it looks. This stuff has always been there. I just was not able to recognize it for what it was when I was younger. These raw facts make it clear that this is not something I've simply made up recently. It's always been there in one form or another, and it hasn't been conjured up by the notion that I am female. These feelings far predate any notion of myself as trans, although I had a very non-binary concept of gender, to which I will come next. I always felt that my maleness was external only, and did not define the real me. I simply thought that this was the common wisdom of the day, that men and women are not essentially different underneath. That may well have been the common wisdom, or a popular idea at any rate, but I believed it wholeheartedly, and it seemed to fit my own personal truth. It was not just some political point. When I was a lot older, probably my early 30s, I discovered the concept of genderqueer, what is now more commonly known as non-binary, and I realised at last that not everybody felt this way and that there was a word for it. Later still, however, I finally embraced the fact that being genderqueer meant I could express my gender however I want. I started experimenting more with feminine gender expression, and every step of the way I discovered how much I liked it. When that happened, I would encounter occasions when some people started gendering me as female. Out of politeness or perception, I can't really tell, and I discovered just how much I liked it, and how comfortable, right and appropriate it seemed to be. Incidentally, even when I believed myself to be a guy, at least externally, I never felt comfortable calling myself a man, preferring the word guy, and never liked being called sir. I thought at the time it was a humility thing, that I don't like airs and graces, but it turns out I love the female equivalent. It was this recognition that it feels right to be gendered as female, plus my awareness of the body dysphoria I had managed to ignore until then, that led to my realization that I am a trans woman, rather than genderqueer. Though I still find it advantageous to reserve a little notion of myself as agender for times when I need to disconnect from social pressures and all the convoluted arguments over this stuff and just say to myself, who gives a fuck anyway? Now, let's talk about sex. The very end of Contrapoints' video is painfully relevant to my own life experience. I feel like crying along with her at the end. I have always struggled in my sexual and romantic relationships with women, expecting and requiring me to be more of a man than I could ever be comfortable with, and it hurts. And it carries through to sex itself. I spent long years of my life wondering why I am so broken in that regard. Why can't I do sex in any consistent manner? What is it that I find so difficult? Obviously, a lot of males suffer from sexual dysfunction at some point in their lives. It's not unique to trans people. But when it is a chronic and persistent problem, then there is doubtless some deep-seated psychological reason behind it. It then just remains to find out what that reason is. Even though I'm so attracted to beautiful women that I often feel weak and powerless in their presence, even though when I masturbate it is almost always women I am fantasizing about, even though I often find myself uncomfortable and decide in the end that I don't want to proceed further when I am in sexual situations with a man, nevertheless I somehow managed to convince myself I was gay for a while. Well, I probably am anyway, if you gender me as female, but you get the idea. I thought I was, or might be, a gay man for a little while. To be honest, I was aware that I still had sexual feelings about women, and so I tended to say I was gay in a way. I was also rather transphobically basing it on genitalia, and I was mistaken in any case. I believed that I liked cock, but didn't really like pussy. I was half right. So, although I was aesthetically interested in women, and also very much liked kink with women, where I could play the submissive role, I decided that when it came to the nitty-gritty of vanilla sex, I was homosexual. It made sense at the time. Of course I was wrong. I do like pussy after all. I was just disheartened by my sexual performance issues. Yes, I like cock, but I don't seem to like men that much. I've learnt this since, and I tend to consider myself mostly attracted to women or feminine-presenting people, but with some possible flexibility around that and no preference at all when it comes to genitals. Both types of genitals can be a lot of fun in my experience. But it was helpful to conclude I was gay for a little while because it allowed me to chill out and stop stressing about my sexual difficulties. I just don't like intercourse, I decided. I'm a bottom, so if anyone is going to be penetrated, then I would rather it be me. Sticking my dick in someone was just not something that appealed to me. Now that I realise fully what is going on with my gender, it is even clearer to me. And what Contrapoints says in her video is exactly my truth on this matter. Why won't you fuck me? Because it makes me feel like a man. And I can't get down with that. It makes me uncomfortable. I can't get sexy when I'm in the male role. It's just the truth of my situation. It's stressful to turn everything you know about yourself upside down and inside out so that what you are doing is totally alien to your sense of self. It doesn't work. I can't get turned on that way. And if I can't get turned on, then I'll lose my erection, because that's how male bodies work. So yeah, I'm just not into intercourse. But the reason isn't gayness, the reason is transness, right? Well, that's what I thought. But it turns out there is a way around this mess. There is actually a way that my penis can be inside a lady's vagina and I can actually enjoy myself, and so can she. If she is on top, if she completely takes the lead, including getting me erect and then physically putting my penis into her vagina, then she rides me with passion and enthusiasm, and here's the real key, if I then imagine that she is actually penetrating me, then I can enjoy it, remain hard, and doubtless gaze up in heavenly wonder as she orgasms. I love watching women orgasm, by the way. It's the best thing ever. I don't really give a shit whether I come or not, but watching a beautiful woman get pleasure from me is like all my Christmases came at once. The point here is that, yes, much of the solution is to do with role. who is in charge and who's not, and a lot of that is to do with gender stereotypes anyway, but a key element also relates very much to how I feel about my gender and the mechanics of sex in terms of my own body. I can't get off on being inside a woman unless I imagine that she is somehow inside me, unless I imagine that she is fucking me in my imaginary vagina. Wow, that is a very trans solution to the problem, and shows that despite my lack of discomfort with the mere fact of my penis's existence, that nevertheless, on some level, I wish I had a vagina to be fucked in, and can only be comfortable in sexual situations if I'm not required to use my penis in a typically male way. No matter which way you slice it, that's gender dysphoria related specifically to the matter of my genitals when it comes to sex. It might not be the sort of genital dysphoria that means I need or want surgery on them. In fact, that would be a very bad idea for me. But it is a visceral, physically significant manifestation of gender dysphoria nonetheless. So yeah, this stuff is real. Some of it goes back all the way to my teens or before. All of it dates back to before I had language to explain it or any understanding of myself as trans. It's not something I made up recently. It's not just me being confused by gender stereotypes. As if I ever believed in gender stereotypes anyway. I've always loved the idea of strong, independent women who can do anything a man can do. I've always felt proud that I bucked the trend of what most people thought men were like. And it hasn't been conjured up in me as a result of leftist politics or the transgender agenda or whatever else certain dumbasses think it is. I am a trans woman. There's no doubting it. And now that I have seen Contrapoints' video and concluded that how she feels means that I should start using female pronouns of her, then there's simply no room for internalised doubt and confusion anymore. I'm trans. I should have been born female. It's as simple as that. And that's why it hurts when people call me a trender, or say that I'm a man and always will be, or imply that I'm making it up or I'm confused. Look, it can be confusing at first. It can be scary to admit all this stuff about yourself. The road ahead can be daunting and you might be reluctant to tread down it. A lot of grief and rage, doubt and uncertainty, muddled thinking and just pure angst can come pouring out of people when they first start coming to grips with what is going on with them. And if you do it all online, then you soon face a lot of criticisms and unpleasantness from people that just makes it worse and prolongs the process. But fuck you. I'm trans. This is real. And it's hard enough without the hate. Thank you, Contrapoints, for your beautiful video. Thank the gods that I've finally got rid of all my doubt and confusion. I am a transgender woman, and already my life is far better now I've recognised that fact. We're all different, we're all special, snowflakes unite.